Hi, I'm Ebony and today I'll be talking about navigation and viewports in 3ds Max. By default, the working area in the 3ds Max is divided into 4 viewports of equal size. This is where you view and modify your scene. There are 3 orthographic viewports, top, front, and left, which are 2D representations of a 3D scene. There is one 3D viewport by default, the perspective viewport, which mimics human vision, allowing for a sense of depth. To change any viewport type, you can use keyboard shortcuts. Just select the viewport you wish to change, then you can use T for top, F for front, L for left, and P for perspective. There are more viewport types found in the point of view viewport menu. To reorganize your viewport layout, use the Viewport Layout tab. This allows switching quickly among any number of different viewport layouts. You can also change a viewport layout by dragging the viewport's intersections to resize the viewports. To enlarge any single viewport, use the Min-Max toggle or press Alt plus W. Use the toggle or press Alt W again to set that viewport back. Inside each of the viewports is a home grid, which represents a plane in the 3D space. There are 3 planes in X, Y, and Z that intersect each other along a line at right angles to one another, which is the basis of the Cartesian coordinate system. All 3 X, Y, and Z planes intersect at a point called the origin point. Also within each viewport by default is the view cube, which provides some navigational controls within that viewport. The visual quality of objects within a viewport is defined by the shading viewport menu. By default, the orthographic views are set to wireframe, and the perspective viewport is set to standard shading, which shows objects as solid forms. You can toggle between shaded and wireframe by using the shortcut F3. To navigate inside a viewport, start by pressing and dragging your middle mouse button within a viewport to pan the view. Hold Alt and the middle mouse button and drag the viewport to orbit your view. Spin the scroll wheel on your mouse to zoom in and out of the viewport. For a slower zoom, hold Ctrl, Alt, middle mouse button and drag. To fix the extents of a scene within a viewport, press the shortcut Z. When you select an object, press Z to center that object within the viewport. All these shortcuts have tools with more features within the navigation tools on the bottom right of the interface. In the top left-hand part of the screen, you can see the undo and redo button. Also on the top panel is the move, rotate, and scale tools. To snap objects, that is also up here, and the snap shortcut is S. Mirror and align are also located over here. The panel on the right holds the create, modify, hierarchy, display, and utility options. I'm just going to draw a box to show how to modify. Then when you click the modify tab, you can look on the modifier list and select something like twist. And then you can adjust the angle up and down by holding the key and pushing up and down. This alters the object. To change how the object is displayed, we can use some of the shortcuts. The grid turn on off shortcut, which is G, the wireframe shortcut, which is F3, and the edges faces shortcut, which is F4. Another super important tool is the unit setup. This can be found under Customize, which is the unit setup which is useful for working between metric and imperial measurements. Setting up the interface in meters is best. On the top panel as well is also the material editor. Another tip is when creating objects, have edges faces turned on to make modifying easier. To find a clone, select the object and right-click. In the list that appears is the button to clone. What pops up is copy, instance, and reference. Copy has no relationship to the original object. Instance is linked to the original object. And reference mean that the object will have a relationship with the original object and can also not have a relationship with the original object. Any modifiers above the line means that this is a new transformation that will not affect the original object. Below the grey line are the transformations that are linked to the original object. So if I want to edit my box, I would select Edit Poly, and then I could, to alter different parts of the object, I could either select Vertex, Edge, Order, polygon, or element by holding the control button and hovering the mouse. To extrude from the object, hold the Shift key when selecting, then use the gumball toggle to pull the extrusion. Another useful tool is the Boolean tool. To subtract another shape, we would use this tool. In the modifier list, there are a whole bunch of different manipulations we could add to the object, like the Greeble tool. I recommend when beginning just to play around with all the different shapes and all the different modifiers lists, just to become more familiar with how 3ds Max works. Thank you for listening.